missing someone.
What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's episode, I'm going to transform this client into a creative color. So our goal for today is to do something a bit lower maintenance. She's wanting to try a fun color for the very first time. In the past, she's just done balayages. This is also my first time coloring her hair. So we're gonna give her a nice beautiful trim and lighten up her roots, because you can see her roots are pretty much grown out. I would say that's almost like 2 years of regrowth. And yeah, she just has like an old balayage on the ends, and so I just need to be a little bit careful as I relighten her to kind of pick out those pieces. But we're going to focus on lightening up her roots because they are fully grown out and they are completely virgin. So for this technique, I am going to focus on pretty much coloring the whole perimeter of her hairline first. So here I'm starting in the back nape section, and I'm doing slightly chunky weaves here, leaving just like a little bit of negative space in between my foils. Since her grow out is like super long, her roots are, I would say in the back here, it looks even more longer than 2 years of regrowth. So I really want to focus on trying to get her back to a really nicely blended color that gives her that overall lightness, since she is naturally so dark. So I'm just doing a few chunky weaves all the way up to the top of her ear here. And the reason why I'm doing more of a chunky weave is just to give her a lot of color. If I did more of a baby light in the back here, it wouldn't really pop as much against her dark hair. So that is why on my clients who are naturally this dark, I do tend to like to do a bit more of a chunky weave so that you really see those highs and lows and they get a lot of that color blended in. So after I finish that top part section and meet towards the top of the ear in the back, I'm going ahead and starting off with her money piece. This is a little new. I normally don't do this, but I felt like because her roots were so long, I wanted to detail around her hairline and around her face first before focusing on that back section. So I'm going in. She didn't really want like a money piece that was too chunky or too bold. So I'm just going in with my weaves, doing like medium to baby lights here. And her hair texture, I would say, is more on the finer side. So my sections are a little bit on the bigger side just to compensate for the texture of her hair. But also just making sure that my sections are very clean and see-through. As long as my sections are see-through and my lightener application is really good, I'm going to get a really nice, clean, easy lift. So I did about, I would say like 4 to 5 baby light sections here to give her a nice bold face frame around, and I weaved it instead of slicing it just because I wanted it to kind of blend in with the back. She didn't want it too bold and too chunky in the front, so that is what the weave is there for, to kind of blend it all together. And then I move on to the sides, and I'm doing the same thing, just kind of doing like a weave on the side and doing a few of these to give her a really nice bold face frame that's going to pop against the rest. And on the sides here, I did about 3 of these like medium to baby light size weaves, just because of the texture of her hair. Sometimes I'll do about 2, but since her texture is a bit on the finer side, I went ahead and just did 3, just so that she felt like she had enough color around her face. So after those 3 face frame pieces, I'm going ahead and leaving my next weave with a little bit more dimension in between, and we are doing a bigger foil just to kind of connect that money piece with the back section. And on the sides here afterwards, I'm going to leave a little bit more depth so that these front face framing pieces really pop against her dark hair. So again, I'm going in with a 4th weave after those first 3 on the sides to kind of connect that whole face frame section, and leaving a little bit more depth in between this 4th weave. So after I have fully completed doing the whole hairline part, I'm going back to that back section, and now I'm going to highlight the center section all together all the way up to her money piece. And here I've already pre-sectioned so that my sections are very clean, and I'm continue doing my weave pattern. So you can see as I get closer towards the top, my weaves are going to be a little bit more on the medium size, so everything that was underneath this was a bit more chunky, and then as I get closer towards the top, I am making that more of a medium size weave. They're not quite a baby light because she has so much dark hair still. We're trying to get her as light as possible, but if this was like a retouch, like she already had her ends all nice and bright and she only had maybe, I would say, 3 or 4 months of regrowth, then I would probably do slightly smaller weaves or leave more dimension in between my weaves to kind of blend everything together. But since her regrowth is so long, she has a lot of dark going on, my sectionings are going to be very close together, and this is going to create a really nice, she's going to give her a lot of color around all over, and it will still grow out really nicely as well. It just won't be as dimensional as it would if I were to do smaller weaves. And then in between my weaves, I am going in and slightly teasing and tipping out the ends just to kind of get everything to look super cohesive and nice and bright on the very ends. I am picking out any like previously lightened ends to make sure that I don't over process the hair on those pieces. So I am carefully teasing and then weaving whatever dark is left on the ends to kind of brighten them up and make it more solid. So after I have finished my whole center weave section, I go ahead and continue off the sides, and for the sides I am continuing doing like a diagonal back, but I am now doing more of a chunky weave, and as I take each section after the next, I am leaving a little bit more dimension with each section as I get closer towards the back. And so also in between these weaves, I am tipping them out again to get the ends nice and bright and solid. So essentially what this is going to do, it's going to create a beautiful gradient where the back, it gets a slightly more dimensional and a little bit more darker as I keep pivoting off the last previous section. And then a general rule of thumb for when I tease and tip out the hair, if the hair length is this long below the shoulders, I usually like to feather up my tease or like my hand painted section like how I'm doing right now for my tip out. And I like to blend it right around like the shoulder level because that's where I feel like generally on longer hair it looks really good, and where the gradient of the lighter solid ends should start. So once I was done foiling her whole head, I did put her under the dryer just to kind of mimic some body heat on the ends there, to help make sure that everything lifts really evenly. So when I put my clients under the heat, I don't really put it on high heat. I will just kind of do it on like low to medium heat to kind of mimic the body heat again. So today on my client, I'm going to be using the K18, and lately I have been loving using this on all of my clients that are going lighter, and I feel like it really does work. I have used other bond builders and stuff and things that make the hair very strong, and I feel like this works really well in addition to making the hair very soft. So I have already shampooed her and then towel dried her really well, and the great thing about the K18 is that you don't have to put conditioner because you're just going to put this treatment in the hair and then let it sit for about 4 minutes before drying or putting any styling product. So really quickly guys, I wanted to show you guys what my client's hair looked like after we blow dried it after the K18 treatment. Her hair looked so healthy and felt amazing after that treatment. And then also I wanted to show you the blend of the color placement that we did before putting on a Pulp Bright Semi. And her hair lifted very well. I would say she lifted to a nice clean level 9. And then after this, we applied the Pulp Bright Semi. Her formulation was pretty much Jam and Cleopatra to create the most beautiful magenta color for her. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. You can see how beautiful this color goes with her natural. You can already tell that this is going to grow out so pretty, and as this color fades, which it will probably fade quite quickly because these type of fashion and creative color tones do fade very fast. It's going to fade so pretty because you guys already saw what she was lifted to, so it's pretty much going to fade back to that blonde color if anything. And once it does, she can just like maintain it with some purple shampoo at home and just kind of enjoy the blonde after this color fully fades out. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.